He didn't want to eat. My 5-year-old nephew sat at the table, his eyes fixed on the cake he normally devoured with gusto. His small fists remained hidden under the table, clenched tightly against his thighs. "I'm not hungry," he mumbled, his eyes still on his plate. His father laughed, raising his glass. "He's just throwing a tantrum." His mother's gaze slashed across the table. "Don't make a scene." The laughter of the family members covered the silence, but I felt it. Something hidden beneath the surface, an invisible weight hanging over the air that no one seemed to notice. Later, when I got up to get some water, he followed me. His hesitant footsteps echoed on the tiles. When I turned, I saw him standing there, his eyes red, his voice cracking. "Uncle, please help me. Mom and Dad." He held up his hands. And then I saw them, bruises where they should never be on a child's hands. I felt my throat harden, not from tears, but from something colder, icier. I carried that image with me back to the table. The laughter, the clinking of glasses, the playful jokes, everything blurred behind me as the storm grew in my mind. No one noticed how I stared at the parents. The father with his haughty smile, the mother with her sharp laugh. They seemed unassailable, wrapped in the farce of domestic bliss. But the child's pleas still echoed in my ears. "Help me, please." I saw the mother's fingers clutch the wine glass, the father lean his face too close to whisper in her ear. It was a dark language, that of cruelty disguised as marriage. And in that instant, I understood. It wasn't just abuse, it wasn't simple neglect. There was something deeper, a blood betrayal. The boy didn't resemble his father, not in his eyes or his body. And the way that man treated him, not like a son, but like a burden, only fueled my suspicions. Infidelity, a double life, a web of lies waiting for the moment to collapse. The bruises were just the surface. The real wound was buried in the truth they believed impossible to uncover. I didn't confront them that night. Not yet. I smiled, raised my glass, and remained silent. First rule: never reveal your cards too soon. For the next few weeks, I watched in silence. One afternoon, when I went to pick up the boy from school, the teacher remarked in surprise. "How strange, her father almost never comes. Always her mother or someone else." Someone else. That was my cue to start digging. Call logs, strange numbers saved under fake names, late-night conversations. I already knew what I was looking for, and little by little the pieces fell into place. The final blow came at the hospital. A chat with the pediatrician. A slip of the tongue. When I told him I was the uncle, he paused for a second too long. He looked at the boy, then at the file and muttered, "Oh, I thought it was his brother," and then he abruptly changed the subject. That instant was enough for me. He knew something I shouldn't say. I secretly paid for a DNA test. One night, while tucking the baby in, I gathered what he needed. For him, it was a game. For me, the wait was torment. On the outside, he was calm, but inside, he was seething. I already sensed what the outcome would be. On Wednesday morning, the envelope arrived. I sat at the kitchen table. Upstairs, I heard the child's faint, distant laughter. I opened the envelope without hesitation. Impersonal, cold technical words. But the meaning was a knife. He was not his father's son. The blood bond was broken. That same night I returned to his house. Dinner, drinks, fake laughter. I waited. When the plates were cleared and the toasts rang out, I placed the envelope on the table. His father opened it. Her face froze in deathly silence. Her mother snatched it away with a nervous gesture. "What is this?" she stammered. I remained silent. The truth did the rest. Her father's fury exploded against her. His voice cracked into screams, into unanswered questions. Her mother hesitated, invented excuse. I watched them from the icy distance of someone who no longer belongs. I watched their world crumble before them. When the storm subsided, I stood up. "I'm taking him with me." I spoke firmly. "You can't," she shrieked. I looked her in the eyes. "You lost that right the day you lied." The father's silence was confirmation. He didn't stop me. He didn't fight me. He just glared at her with a hatred he couldn't feel toward anyone else. I went upstairs and took the child in my arms. His little hand clung to mine. He didn't ask anything. He didn't need to. Downstairs, the living room was filled with shouts, insults, and broken glass, but none of it could reach us. I had already won. Later, at home, while the child slept safely, I sat in the dark. There were no tears, no relief, only clarity. The truth had been poison in their marriage for years. I didn't manufacture it. I only opened the bottle. Now they would slowly destroy themselves, and I would raise them in peace. In a place where their hands no longer need to hide, where their voice no longer trembles. Betrayal always leaves victims, but sometimes if you wait long enough, it ends up devouring only the guilty ones. I filled a glass of water, lay back, and let the silence envelop me. For the first time in years, I felt nothing, and that nothing was enough. I filled a glass of water, lay back, and let the silence envelop me. For the first time in years, I felt nothing, and that nothing was enough. The ceiling above me looked the same as it always had, the cracks running like faint rivers across its surface, the familiar shadows of the window frames stretching lazily across the wall. Yet something inside me had shifted. A quiet revolution that required no announcement, no witness, and no validation. For so long, I had chased the noise of life conversations, obligations, ambitions, arguments that led nowhere, expectations that weighed me down more than they ever lifted me up, and I had thought that was living, thought that was proof of being alive. But lying there, with only the taste of cool water lingering on my lips, I realized how foreign peace had become to me, how I had mistaken chaos for vitality and distraction for purpose. The absence of thought was not emptiness, but relief, like dropping a burden I had been carrying so long I forgot it wasn't part of me. I did not think of tomorrow, nor of yesterday's regrets, nor of the people whose voices still tried to echo in my head. I simply floated in the vast, invisible ocean of nothingness, and in that floating I rediscovered myself. My heart beat quietly, steadily, not racing, not longing, simply existing, and I marveled at how rare such simplicity felt. It struck me that this was what I had been running toward all along without knowing it, not success, not love, not recognition, but the calm assurance that I was enough even in stillness. The silence pressed against me like a warm blanket, not suffocating but protective, and I let it fill the spaces where worry usually lived. I did not crave answers, because for the first time the questions had no power. I did not crave company, because the solitude was not loneliness, but freedom. Every breath felt deliberate, a reminder that I was here, alive, and permitted to simply be. My hands rested without tension, my body felt weightless, and even the air seemed to move gently, as if conspiring with me to keep the moment whole. I thought of how long I had denied myself this surrender, how the world teaches us to keep moving, keep proving, keep achieving, until exhaustion becomes identity, and I grieved a little for the years I had lost in that noise. Yet even that grief was soft, a memory acknowledged but not clung to. What mattered was this moment, this suspension in nothingness that somehow felt fuller than any triumph or thrill I had ever chased. I closed my eyes, not to escape but to sink deeper into what I had found, and I understood with startling clarity that sometimes the greatest gift is not joy or excitement or passion, but the rare, delicate presence of nothing at all. A nothing that holds you gently and whispers, "This is enough."